Hey, everybody. I want to thank you for checking out my broadcast today. My name is Jonathan, and this is day 166 of my 3-year challenge to get my weight loss or get my weight under control and to better myself overall. Uh, let's see here. If it's your first time checking out the video, like I said, my name's Jonathan. I'm 38 years old. In the end of 2020, I decided that it was time to do something about my weight. I had allowed myself to get up over 500 pounds. And at the beginning of November, I decided to do an extended water fast. And then I went from that into a whole food plant based diet with no added salt, oil, or sugar. In the time that I've been dieting, I've lost over 160 pounds. And it's been really just overall a great experience and just really, it's improved every aspect of my life. Um, the If anybody has any non-scale victories they'd like to share, I love to hear non-scale victories. We had weigh-in yesterday. I gained weight. Carrie lost a bunch of weight. She lost 2 or 3 pounds, but she didn't weigh in. She was nervous about weighing in the morning, so she weighed in this morning, and she was down a couple pounds. So she didn't need to be so worried about it. She thought she was going to gain, but she had been plateaued there for a little bit as well, I think. So it was nice for her to have a good loss on the week last week. If let's see, for me, I can't think of any non-scale victories off the top of my head right now, but a couple different things that did happen is yesterday for dinner, Carrie had made us something new as far as things that we eat for dinner. It was, I believe, a meal that was recommended to her by her mom, who has actually been doing a whole food plant-based diet and really enjoying it. So it was like a pasta salad. It was almost like something you would take to a Thanksgiving dinner or a potluck, just like it was like a cold pasta dish. It had diced tomatoes, onions, there was corn in it, lots of beans in it. Overall, just a huge mix of food in the dinner last night. And overall, I mean, I I didn't like the meal in that I don't like cold pasta. Uh, and so it was something where that in itself is tough for me to get over. And then there were like cherry tomatoes. There was large diced tomato, like those little tomatoes cut into like quarters. And I don't enjoy those a whole lot either. But uh I took some of the dinner and I heated it up a little bit, and it didn't heat up great, but I enjoyed it a little bit more, and it was edible as a cold pasta. It's just like I said, it's not my preference for whatever reason. I just enjoy like a warm pasta, or I enjoy like I would rather have warm pizza than I won't eat cold pizza. I don't really like cold chicken, so I just like my food warm. So, anyways, warmed it up a little bit and I ate some, and it tasted good. It's just like I said, it's the textures, it's the whatever, and then you can't really microwave things. Everything that was in the dish wasn't really necessarily made to be microwaved, so it didn't help to microwave some of the things like the raw onion and the tomato didn't, might anyways. uh but what did happen, and it might have been a product of me not eating a lot yesterday, but I think it's more of a product of what I've been eating the last few days. I've been kind of stuck in this rut of eating, the same thing and not having a lot of variety. But it was while I was eating, or it had to have been while I was eating, because I don't even think I was finished, because I went and got more. Like, even though it wasn't a meal I really enjoyed, I still went and got more because I was hungry, and I knew that it was um, something I needed, because about halfway through the meal, I just had this, like, I don't know, body buzz or euphoria or what. It was almost like uh, taking a drug, but it was just like this. I felt the satisfaction in what I was eating, and like that I was getting whatever nutrient my body had been missing. uh I just felt like whatever was in that dinner was just hitting that spot, and just it was, like I said, I don't know if body buzz is the right word, but I could feel it throughout my veins or my blood, that what I was eating was good for me, or it was helping me. And like I said, I might not have eaten a whole lot yesterday because I was kind of crappy. Your dinner last night, Carrie says, "Hey, what drugs? I'm late to the party." I was talking about how much I hated your dinner last night, and uh, I just don't like cold pasta, and so I warmed it up and I ate it. And while I'm eating it, I just had this rush of this wonderful feeling. Just like I said, it was the food just felt like it was satisfying something, and it was uh and so even though it wasn't something I ate it, and I enjoyed it enough to eat it, to finish it. And then uh I ended up getting seconds because of the way it was making me feel, about how satisfied it was making me. And like I said, like the euphoria or the body buzz that I got, because there was something about it, just the nutrients were hitting the spot. So that's what I was saying. Um, so Carrie says, "Woohoo, I make some dang good food for you." Yes, for you food. Uh, but you got to just make it warm. Just, I don't know. That cold pasta, I'm just not a fan of cold food. So that was kind of my thing, or what I wanted to share. Just that, like, it's absolutely, the cherry tomatoes is something I just, and I've tried those a lot, like, because people like cherry tomatoes, and I like them more now than I did prior to the diet. But as an adult, multiple times I've tried cherry tomatoes, just because people have picked them or had them or grown them and given them to us, or we've had them around for something. And I'm like, everybody loves them, and so, anyways, even though it was a dinner, I wouldn't say I want ever. It definitely was a satisfactory meal in the end. And so, the other thing, I have been continuing to read How Not to Die by Dr. Greger. And I just got done with the section on diabetes. And I mean, I'm at a loss why people aren't eating a whole food plant-based diet. If you listen to what he said, the studies that he has, and the examples they give. I mean, one of the studies, they had 18 people on a whole food plant-based diet, and 17 of them within 2 weeks were either on reduced medicine or off their medicine, like all but one person. And it's just a shame, and I didn't know it before 5 months ago. I mean, I'm not any different than anybody else. And but I just it's crazy that it's just not more public knowledge now that I'm here, now that I'm doing it, and I see the other people that are doing it. Uh, and it might have been 16 days, but it was almost 2 weeks. But yeah, so but anyways, I don't have a lot of people, or I haven't seen a lot of examples where people said, "Hey, I went whole food plant based for 6 months and it just wasn't sustainable, and I just couldn't do it, and I switched over and I'm happier now." I've had some people, I think I've seen where they were doing whole food plant based, something got them knocked off of it, and they wish they would get back on it. But it's just he talks about the comparison. They did comparisons of people that had bariatric surgery and went on a whole food plant based diet. And in many of the cases, because either way, you have to go on a huge um, calorie restriction. I mean, your calories are going to be restricted, but if you have bypass surgery or you have bariatric surgery, then uh, your diet after the bariatric surgery for those 2-3 weeks is very restricted. I talk about this while I was fasting a lot, and um, so they had people that did a restrictive diet and people that had surgery and had restrictive diet, and they really had the same results. Or he was saying that there was actually better results from the people that just ate the restrictive diet and didn't have the surgery. And so it is crazy to me that doctors are continuing to recommend the surgery instead of recommending the diet change. And what he also talks about a lot in the book is that doctors aren't trained to be dietitians or nutritionists. It's a very small part of their practice. Many times they don't give recommendations or they don't do things with it. He mentions that one is that they don't get reimbursed by their insurance for the time they take to talk to somebody about eating a healthy diet. And another, it might have been another book I read, but they talk about what the doctors is they just know people aren't going to listen to them, and it's a waste of their time because nobody is going to change their diet. And yeah, I mean, and so the diabetes stuff, I don't have diabetes personally, or I didn't. I mean, there's a good chance I was pre-diabetic, or maybe I'm still pre-diabetic. I don't know exactly, but I did have things that he talked about, and I had swelling in my ankle. I had pain in my right thigh, like the nerve on the outside of my leg every now and then would just have a pain, or like I'd want to dig at it or itch at it. And the and so that's like neuropathy, I think is something he was talking about, or something similar to that. And all of these people had drastic results from changing to a whole food plant-based diet. And it's just not more talked about. Carrie says that she took 2 pictures of magazine covers with plant-based mentions on their cover today because it's catching on. Everybody get on the plant-based train. Right. And then she took them while she was waiting in line at the grocery store. And then it's all about the money. No payout if they aren't giving any prescriptions. For the doctors, yeah, I think that there might be some of that. I think that like I said, it's not trained to them. It's not part of their we think that they're supposed to know what a healthy diet is. The doctors are supposed to know, and they don't. They're not trained. Like people, and they have such a wide range they have to learn. Unless they go specifically into a field where that would make a difference. But so yeah, it was just listening to the examples he gives, the stories. He gave an example of a letter somebody had written of somebody who was in their 60s, and their doctor made them go get a CAT scan because he was convinced that he had cancer, or he had to have had cancer, because it was the only reason why he would have lost as much weight as he lost. And it was actually just because he switched to a whole food plant-based diet. And so I'm really enjoying the book. I definitely recommend reading or listening to How Not to Die. I still haven't even gotten into the meat of the book, I don't think. I mean, the whole book is very information dense, so I'm sure I've gotten to the meat of it. But just generally overall, I just wish everybody knew how much uh, switching over to this can help them. You know, and I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have 5, 6 months ago. I would have. I didn't believe that it would be a healthy choice, but I wake up every morning feeling better than I did the day before, and so I gotta just kind of go with what's going on for me, and that and you know I hopped on the scale today just because, and I'm exactly the same weight as I was yesterday. And I ate seconds for dinner last night. I had Ezekiel bread. I ate today. Uh, and so I haven't held back on what I've been eating. And, I'm still maintaining the weight. So it's, again, and I say it over and over, the volume of food is far more satisfying than the content of the food from, like I can eat the same volume of food as I was eating 6 months ago. I'll give you that the sugar and the salt and the oil and all of that food makes it taste amazing, sure. uh, but it also made me 520 pounds. And now I'm getting the same volume, I'm getting the same satisfaction. I know how those things taste. I'm getting those flavors in the foods I'm eating still. So it's not like, uh, like the spaghetti pasta we had. I mean, the pasta with marinara gives me those spaghetti flavors, that texture, so there's, and the seasoning that we can do with so many of these foods really create such a variety that I'm not experiencing like long-term flavor or food burnout. I mean, last night's dinner was a completely different meal than we'd ever had, and and it was great, and I didn't feel guilty for getting seconds. In fact, I felt amazing getting seconds because I just really liked whatever was going on with it, and it could have just been that I was just blah from the day and didn't have much, and that was just kind of what gave me the pep in my step, I suppose, for the rest of the evening. Oh, but yeah, so I'm gonna keep listening to that book, uh, and I'm liking it so far. But yeah, I'm gonna end it about here today. Couple things I did want to say is I wanted to thank anybody that reached out to me yesterday after I gained weight, either on comments on the videos or private message. I really appreciate people reaching out. I uh, I haven't lost any of my resolve at all, and so I definitely um, am going to keep going with this and keep the weight loss going in the long run. I just wanted to say I appreciate, like I said, the people reaching out. Um, and it's part of what helps keep this thing going for me is you guys watching these videos. I hope that something that I say inspires or sparks something in you to finally decide to take control. And like I said, start off by just take control of something simple, even if it's not food related, and then just kind of go from there, you know. Uh, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the page, turn on notifications. Instagram is at Fasting. Link to the Discord down below. That'll be active for 1 week. I'm gonna get out of here. I will be on tomorrow. It's Friday. Always a pain going into the weekends because everything changes, or you go from being on your 5-day schedule to everything getting switched up. So anyways, we'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central Time. Again, thank you guys for all of the support. I really appreciate it. And we'll just keep plugging away at this thing, and before you know it, we'll be at goal. So you guys have a great evening.